So we're getting ourselves a presidential commission on college athletics. Not only that, and this is worth a May paper pop. How about this little headline late last night? Nick Saban to co-chair a commission on college sports. I didn't say football, kids. I said college sports. How about that little headline? I don't care who you voted for. You shouldn't care who I voted for. I always say that off the top. Most of the time, we don't ever even have to broach the world of politics because, unlike a lot of people in this profession, I don't care to mix that into coverage of college athletics. But sometimes the worlds bump into each other. So that's what we have here. The worlds are bumping into each other, and that means people lose their mind in the live chat, in the comment section. So I always preface with, I don't care what you think about politics or your political stances or leanings, and I don't think you should care about mine. So with all that garbage out of the way, let us talk about what this actually means. There could be teeth to this. So nobody has the slightest clue what's about to happen. I promise you that. I promise you the president doesn't. I promise you Nick Saban doesn't. Cody Campbell is on this thing. Up until 5 minutes ago, none of you knew who Cody Campbell was outside of Lubbock, Texas, but he's got a lot of zeros in his net worth. He's a billionaire, and so that makes him unqualified in some people's eyes. I scoffed at it when I saw the headline last night. I know a little bit more about Cody Campbell than most college football fans would, but I looked at it and said, Cody Campbell, what? And then I spent the majority of last evening reading some of his literature that he has written, sort of his view on the world of college athletics. We got the American flag on the screen. We never get to use that. So anyway, nobody knows what's going to come from this. Here's what's basically happened. The president came to Tuscaloosa last week. We were there, actually, the day before. So shake hands with Secret Service. We leave. He comes in. And then Nick Saban got in his ear and a few other people got in his ear. And he said, okay, we'll take some action on it. So you put together a commission. That's where we are right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I saw many of my friends, many people, kind of jump into one corner or the other corner. And this is good and this is bad. How do you know what it is, period? I don't know that anything's even going to come from this, but I will tell you this, and I always like to go 50,000 foot on this stuff because, quite frankly, it bores people when you get into the weeds of it and you lose a lot of people. I get that. Trust me, I'm one of you, so I get it. I get lost on this stuff. I get bored with it, and I deal with it for a living. I will tell you this, though. Let me put it in terms everyone understands because this is how I feel. Every one of you who is of age, who has a driver's license, has found yourself in gridlock, standstill traffic before. You know that feeling. I'm not talking about city traffic. City traffic's one thing, but think about it being on I-65 north of Birmingham, Alabama, being on I-95 north of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and all of a sudden you see the red brake lights in the distance, and you come not to a slowdown, not to a crawl, but a complete stop. You know that feeling. That feeling sucks because you're sitting still, and you know you wouldn't be sitting still if there wasn't something really bad up ahead. How far ahead is it? Don't necessarily know. What is it? Don't necessarily know. How long are we going to be here? Don't necessarily know. That's how I have felt about college football and college athletics forever. We've just been sitting here. And every now and then you get an alert on your phone. Oh, it may be clearing up, or hey, someone's on their way to address it, and it's a lawyer, or it's a commissioner, or it's a TV executive. Nothing happens. A lot's happened. Make no mistake, a lot has happened, but it's all been circular. Do you really feel like we've moved forward? I'm not talking about the legal types out there that have landed 9 figures out of court costs in litigating all this. It's been great for you guys. I mean for people who just love the sport for the sake of loving the sport. You may be a player. You may be a coach. 99% of you are fans like I am. Let me cut in really quick and ask, look, prayer hands, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you think you're subscribed, check and make sure. Over 50% of you aren't. It's free. It doesn't sign you up for anything, and it helps us keep the show free, college football year-round, the way God intended it. All right, back to the clip. But has it really felt like you've had any forward motion? So let me tell you how I have felt about this whole thing this past 72 hours. I've felt like I'm in standstill traffic on the interstate, and finally we started to move forward. We're moving 5 miles an hour. That's it. Wish it was a lot better, but we're moving 5 miles an hour right now. And what that means is there is something that's changed. I don't know if it's going to yield results, but something's changed. And that is, for the first time, there is an attempt from a very powerful person, mind you, that normally exists outside the world of college athletics, to put together a group of people to present ideas, perhaps to lobby for changes that, by their very task, look out for the greater good and the interest of college athletics. You could be skeptical about whether they'll be able to enact any change. That's totally fair. You could be skeptical about the motivation of the people on the committee. I have no problem with that. But at least it's forward movement. And at least, by the nature, by the definition of that commission, it's not a group that is tasked with looking out for a conference. It's not a group that's tasked with looking out for a university. It's not even a group that's tasked with just looking out for a sport. For the first time, you've got actual authority, actual meaningful weight put behind a group that's been tasked with looking out for the best interest of college sports. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. That's my bold stance on that. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Now, there are many, many ifs here. But I'll tell you what the biggest if is. If that group, or if whoever is running college athletics right now, because I don't know, but if whoever's running college athletics actually does get the power of the law behind them, whether it come through laws changing, whether it come through antitrust exemption, meaning you can finally enforce things that you used to not be able to enforce because what was illegal is now legal. However you achieve that, if you get to a point where you have the legal backing, if you get to a point where you have the legal muscle to enact change for the betterment of college athletics, here's the big if. The big if is if you have more power at your disposal than the big two do. Because right now, just call it like it is. We get accusations on this show all the time of being in the tank for, major college athletics. So try this take on it for size. If that commission is really tasked with looking out for the best interest of college athletics, and they're given the authority to enact change that is in the best interest of college athletics overall, a lot of the moves they make, if they do their job, will not thrill the SEC, and a lot of those moves will not thrill the Big Ten. Because what's best for college athletics overall, in many cases, would run counter to what the SEC and the Big Ten are trying to accomplish. And I'll tell you how I feel about that. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. And there are many different avenues you can go down with that purpose if you're going to carry it out to its logical conclusion. I even was reading some of Cody Campbell's stuff. I should tell you, Cody Campbell is a billionaire mega donor of Texas Tech. Cody Campbell is the reason that class just came together for them. He is the reason I was out there last month. That place looks as palatial as it does now. But he's written a lot, unbeknownst to me until last week. He's written a lot about how he views the world of college athletics, and in his utopian view, how college athletics should operate. And I'm telling you, I guess the reason I'm pretty soft on him is because I agree with a lot of what he wrote. I certainly have bias here. I've got my feel, just like you've got your feel. It just so happens that Cody Campbell and I kind of align. People like Cody Campbell and I. It's a sentence I really wanted to have come out of my mouth. But anyway, he's touched on a lot of stuff, and I'll tell you one thing he even pulled way out of left field into the equation is the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961. Now, that has been a white whale in the sports media world for a long time. I've never spoken about it on this show. I've never felt the need to speak about it on this show. But if that ever works its way into the conversation about college athletics, you talk about a game changer. I'm not going to bore you with the details. I'm just going to, for the time being, present an idea to you. Imagine a world where the SEC does not have their own media rights deal. The Big Ten does not have their own media rights deal. The Big 12 doesn't lag way behind with theirs, and the ACC lag way behind with theirs. Imagine a world where major college athletics operates on that front like the National Football League does, where the media rights deal is the NFL media rights deal. And Arizona benefits off of it every bit as much as Dallas, every bit as much as the New York teams, etc. Imagine if there was just a college football media rights deal. That's why I told you, This has several tentacles. And if you carry it out to its logical conclusion, in the interest of what's best for college athletics overall, instead of just in the best interest of the Big Two and take whatever's left over, there would be a lot of end results that may not thrill the SEC and the Big Ten. So the multi-billion-dollar question will be, do you have the power to pull that off? Don't know. I did see some totally garbage takes on this, though. One of them, I laughed before I finished reading it. I saw a legal type out there whose entire wardrobe of $5,000 suits has been bankrolled by litigating the mess that is college athletics. And he had the audacity to say, Nick Saban basically needs to just shut up. Old man Saban needs to shut up. He's throwing around all these ideas. He's about to ruin it. Oh, by the way, the accusation, this was really rich, is Nick Saban just wants to prop up a model that enriched him on the backs of kids. And he just wants to keep it that way and keep that money from those kids. And where the legal type stopped, that's about as much respect as I'm going to pay to this person, where that legal type stopped is just shy of reminding you how many tens of millions of dollars his firm has pocketed off of litigating cases that are built on the back of college football being an abject disaster and unable to operate itself cleanly. So, yes, kids, I know in the perfect world, there are no nefarious actors in the room, but believe it or not, the courtroom's been just as active as the football field when it comes to college athletics over the last several years. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but some people have gotten themselves very, very wealthy off of the mess that is college athletics. And the last thing they want to do is fix it. And then the other go-to, the one we've beaten like a piñata on this show 9 ways from Sunday, but we might as well address it one more time, is inevitably, anytime someone talks about the need to fix college athletics, anytime someone talks about how broken college athletics are, someone is going to say, I don't see any evidence of that. Look at the ratings. Look at the ratings. And it's like, I've smoked 2 packs a day every day this week. My lungs feel fine. What's with all the fear-mongering? Pass me another lung dart. Bring it on over here. What's the concern? What's the concern? Or we'll use the poison metaphor we've been using on the show. We just dumped poison in the Mississippi River up in St. Louis, and we called down in New Orleans. No fish are dead down there. It seems like nothing's wrong. This poison didn't do anything. As is a tale as old as time, any logical adult understands that effect is downstream of cause. Sometimes it's 1 week downstream, sometimes it's 10 years downstream, but effect is down there even when cause is right here. Now, again, these are people who should know better. In many cases, they are people who do know better, but we're talking about folks, including in my business, we're talking about people who don't particularly love sports for the sake of sports. See, that's the big misnomer. And that's why you got some, not bad actors, you just got some unserious actors in the room with this whole thing. You could be talking about basketball, football, whatever. You're watching this show because you love college football. I'm talking on this show because I love college football. But don't be so blind as to think everyone who covers this sport loves college football. Some people cover it because they were, flying down the journalism highway and they wanted to get off on the political off-ramp and it wasn't open. So they said, oh, man. And they kept going and the next one was sports and they just got off on that off-ramp. They have no interest in covering sports. It's just a placeholder until they can go cover what they really want to talk about. And so when this sort of thing works its way into the college athletics realm, they pounce on it much more fervently than you ever see them talk about the actual games on the field. Do you notice that? So that doesn't mean that they don't have the right to have the opinion. It just means I reserve the right not to take it seriously. So a lot of that notwithstanding, I am excited/interested in how this turns out. I am withholding and reserving all stronger opinions on it. I'm just willing to let it play out. That's kind of where I am on it.